The average person is said to spend 15 minutes in the bathroom. Why not take advantage of that time and learn something new? Presenting the 15-minute podcast on weird facts, crazy details, and funny particulars that you'll be able to enjoy while you're taking a on your free time. Welcome to The Shit with Sam Butler. Welcome to this episode of The Shit Podcast. I have a very special guest, a good friend of mine, Tania. You're back. How you doing?
All right, Sam. Thank you for having me.
Hey, thank you for coming back. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
And so it's like, hey, let's do another episode with Tania. I know the fans love you, so we all love you, so it's great. And I thought this is a perfect topic to discuss with my friend Tania since she loves humans.
Oh, sure.
We're going to talk about weird facts that have to do with the human body.
Oh, okay, perfect. I like that.
Yeah. I know you have that shirt that says "Kill all humans."
I do.
So I thought perfect. We'll do it on that. But there's a lot of interesting things that I mean, we all know the basics. You know, we all know the heart. Like one of the things that I read, the heart keeps beating. I mean, we all saw Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom. We know it keeps beating after they pull it out of your chest.
Yes.
I mean, we know that.
Yes.
You know,
we all saw that.
We all saw that. You know, I don't know. You guys might be too young, but I saw it when it came out. You know.
Right out of the body.
No, when it came out. That was a good one right there, yeah. But that was, when I was a kid and that movie came out, that was a pretty freaky thing to see the guy. I mean, it just painted that picture that's so evil, you know?
Yep.
Yet we know they did it. You know, I mean, that was part of history, so the beating heart. But with that being said, there's a lot of weird facts that I thought, you know, I looked up some articles, I found some stuff, and I thought, okay, this is cool for one when you were... I have a minute to listen to something. Let's talk about it. It's the shit.
Yep.
This first weird fact is something I always wondered because my dad, when I was a kid, my dad was 6'3", 6'3", which is like 190 centimeters, right? Mm-hmm. So my dad was like 190, and he just seemed like a giant to me. Well, I'm 6'2". I've never been as tall as my dad was. But by the time my dad got older, he was probably he was probably 6 foot. But he also had a condition where he couldn't really straighten out his back, so he used a cane and stuff. So he seemed a lot shorter. Well, it turns out that you do shrink. After age 30, you lose about half an inch in height every 10 years.
No.
Every 10 years.
Among the group, I am the shortest one, so that is very frustrating.
Well, I mean, it's only half an inch every 10 years. So let's see, I'm 45, so I'm probably an inch
shorter.
An inch and a half shorter now. Ugh. That's an inch and a quarter shorter now.
The good thing is we can use high heels, so...
Yeah, you guys have that advantage.
I think, can all use high heels.
I think it's good for us now, too. I've seen by the pictures.
Yep, I know. No, but I mean,
I think
boots,
it's good.
Regular
boots?
Ranchero boots, they have a heel. I mean,
they
for
have a heel. Yeah, that's
work.
true. Yeah, I mean, I do wear work boots, but as I get older, I have a tougher time wearing work boots too.
True.
Like I've really gotten to where they have like construction site sneakers now.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
You know, and so now work Crocs. I want some work Crocs. You know, so I'm down with that. You know, I'm at that point where you don't care. You care more about how comfortable it
comfort.
is.
Yes, comfort.
I mean, because that happens to all of us as we get older. Like I've even noticed that with my clothes. Like I have clothes in my closet that's like 10 years old, 15 years old. And I'm going like, that shirt's 10 years old, right? And when I was a kid, I would see old people and they looked like they were stuck in time. And you'd go, how come they're stuck in time? Why don't they get new clothes? Well, you realize that you don't burn your clothes as much as you do when you're a kid. So it's like, now I'm like, I don't care. This shirt still looks good. I'm still going to wear it, you know? So, and it's getting worse. Like now it's like, I don't want a new car, you know? It's like, my car's good. My car runs good, you know? And when you're younger, you're like, I need the newest, greatest. I want to have the biggest, baddest car. Now you're going like, I don't need any payments. So
true.
After 30 is when it all starts to change, you know?
It does.
An interesting fact about your liver. Okay, I know. We're all like, good news about the liver.
Good, okay.
Right? They could remove 75% of your liver and it'll grow back. It's one of the only organs that'll do that. I think it's the only organ that'll do that.
Yeah.
75%. So, hey, cheers.
Whoop,
Drink
cheers.
up. You can.
Well,
livers, what are they good for? You know, absolutely not. No, just
no, a lot.
But they were saying, you know, I was thinking about that. I'm going like, well, if you have fatty liver, that might be a good thing to do too, right? Get rid of half your liver.
But
No,
again,
I'm just
it's
kidding.
the whole liver, so it's not like it's going to leave a 15-25% safe or healthy and then remove the rest of it. The whole thing's gone bad.
Yeah, I've known of people that have had liver transplants where they transplant like a portion of another person's liver, right? And they attach it to that liver, and then it slowly grows back.
That's
so
cool.
that's pretty cool, you know. Going back to the first fact that I found, when you go to bed at night, you're shorter than when you get up in the morning.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
You actually, and it makes perfect sense if you think about it, because there's this thing called gravity.
True.
So gravity is constantly pushing down on your body, which is compressing the soft tissue joints, the the cartilage between your bones. So at night, it compresses a little, and then you lay down and it regenerates, and then in the morning you're taller.
Cool. Okay.
That being said, astronauts actually can grow up to 2 inches while in outer space.
Nice.
There's
no gravity.
No
then
gravity.
You
So
keep stretching.
They get taller, right? So that's pretty cool. The kidney, which is another vital organ, filters 25 times a day your blood. So your blood runs through your kidney about 25 times a day.
That's a lot.
That's like once an hour.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Once every 50 minutes or something, you know. So, and it's important, and that's why people that have renal failure and stuff like that, they have to go to dialysis, because our body is constantly circulating the blood, and
it has to clean it, and they can't do it themselves.
So it's the liver and the kidneys, super amazing how they work.
Yep.
You know, another vital organ that we talked about, the Indiana Jones thing, is the heart.
Yes.
The heart actually creates enough pressure to squirt blood up to 30 feet, which is like 10 meters.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a lot.
10 meters. So you could you imagine? It's like, I don't know, it's like, I had this crazy thought, let's have squirt fights, you know, but
that's not.
Let's squirt each other, but that sounds wrong.
But again, it needs that much pressure to make it
circulate.
Run all the way to your body.
I really can't think about that too much.
No, it will stress you out.
Yeah, it does, because you think, if it just decides to quit.
Decides.
Yeah, like it's like in the middle of the night, you're like just sleeping, having a good time sleeping, and it just decides, I want to take a break.
Well, heart problems are a very high reason for death.
Yeah, I know. I mean, heart failure is like the number one cause of death.
It is number one, right?
Yeah. But that also comes from eating greasy foods, drinking, alcohol abuse. It's abusing alcohol, because alcohol is good. You know, we did an episode about Listerine, and it cleans a lot of stuff. So I'm sure.
Moderation. Moderation is good.
I'm sure we're cleaning our body out. I mean, think about it. When you break the seal, you go, it's clear. You're like, hey, that was a good deal. You know, I'm filtering out my system.
It's out now.
It's out. It's good. You know. At least I hope it's clear for most of you guys. If not, check your kidneys. That's what I'm saying. But so yeah, the heart can pump that, and it's one of those things that it really will freak you out if you sit and think about it too long. So I try not to think about it. I do have like a blood pressure cuff.
Okay.
You know, my mom, she gets all this stuff through her, you know, she's elderly people get like Medicaid, and they get all this stuff provided to them, and she's like, do you want it? And I'm like, yeah, I think I need, and I have pretty good blood pressure. And everybody assumes that because I'm fat I have bad blood pressure, but I'm also like my dad's clone. So he had by the time he was my age, he was having heart problems.
Oh, okay.
So I haven't had any, thank God, knock on wood, you know, kind of a thing.
Yep.
But it's one of those things that it freaks you out.
Of course, especially when there's history or there's something that you're very, very, very aware of.
Yeah, I know my dad, when I was a kid, he started using potassium salt.
Okay.
because that's what they would recommend for people with heart problems. Potassium, so potassium, sodium is salt, right? So they have a salt substitute that's made with potassium.
Okay.
And it's the nastiest stuff. and back in the 80s, when my dad was my age, the potassium salt was called no salt.
Okay.
And he loved putting that on his food, and he got used to the taste, but
it was so nobody else would eat it.
You knew he put his salt, and it was just because of the heart, Cool. So that's interesting. Okay, let's see. The human skeleton.
Uh-huh.
Do you know that every 10 years you have a brand new skeleton?
Oh, okay.
Every 10 years. It regenerated itself.
So I got my third skeleton now.
Third skeleton.
Nice.
And it makes sense why, because you start to think about it and you go, why do old ladies get osteoporosis? Yeah. Well, that's what it is that it's not generating back at the level that it should.
Everything else.
Yeah, so it's not, it doesn't have the bone density and so on and so forth, which they also say that about the skin. They say you have all new skin every 7 years.
7 years? Oh, okay.
So, which means you're shedding skin everywhere you go.
All the time. Yes.
Yeah, and it's disgusting when you look at it under a microscope, right?
Yeah, we are disgusting.
Do you remember that remember that movie Goldmember?
No. I watched it a very long time, yeah.
And he had flakes of skin coming out.
Oh, true.
That's one of the grossest things. And then I think he put one in his mouth, right? That's disgusting.
Just peeling it off.
But there's people like that. Their skin flakes off. That's pretty gross. But you see it in reptiles all the time. You see it in other animals all the time where they shed their skin.
Their whole skin. In one go, which I think it would be better. But,
I don't know.
But as humans, we would collect those.
Yeah. Could you imagine? You're like, Ed Gein would be out of a gig. Maybe he wouldn't have gone to prison. He'd have been like, hey, I got this. I found it on the road.
Oh, no.
What are you doing with that nipple belt? I found them.
Bought it offline.
Amazon's got nipples now. So, it slows down as we get older.
Okay.
So technically this never stops until we die.
Yeah.
And then I think even after we die, it keeps going for a while.
No, I don't think so.
I think so. I think your hair and nails and stuff still grows.
It seems like it because you're still shrinking or dehydrating. So it seems like it grows a little bit more, but it's something that's already there. So it's not necessarily growth. It's just...
That makes sense. Yeah. So the new iPhone or the new... what is it, Galaxy S20 or something? 21?
No idea.
How many megapixels does that camera have? Do you know? 100 megapixels. I remember when camera phones first came out, they were like 2 megapixels.
2,
right?
4.
And 108 megapixels, okay. The human eye sees 500 megapixels.
Nice.
Even if you can't see for shit.
Okay.
Like even if you're like having trouble seeing, your resolution is 500.
Yeah, because one thing is how your eye works and how it connects to your brain and does the rest of the translating the information that it's receiving from the light. So
correct.
You still have that capacity, but you're not able to use
and that's
it.
One of the things that they say, that you can see your nose, but
all
somehow
the time,
your brain just ignores it.
Filters it. And now I can see it.
Yeah, that's the thing. As soon as you say it, you can see it.
It's
right?
there now. It's there now.
As soon as somebody mentions it, you're like, oh, there it is.
Yeah, glasses too.
Now we're getting short on time here, so this kind of threw me off. I was like, wow, I never thought about this. So let's say you get into an accident and you get you get some brain damage, right? I'm not saying that like in a rude way, but say there is some damage to your brain.
Yeah.
And it says the right anterior cerebral suffers an injury, right? In that hemisphere of the brain. So it's right
side,
right anterior, which is the right back half. Some people will develop a trauma that makes them only want to eat fine food.
Oh, right. Okay. So, so your taste gets better?
you have this obsession with fine dining.
Okay.
And it's an actual thing that happens when that happens.
The brain is pretty wild.
It's called, let me see, this particular syndrome called Gourmand Syndrome.
Gourmand?
Gourmand. Yeah, it's like gourmet, but Gourmand Syndrome takes place when someone suffers injury in the right anterior cerebral hemisphere of the brain.
Okay.
The person will mostly show preference to eat only fine foods.
Wow.
So that's pretty, to me, that was pretty insane.
Well, we do know that a lot of people that suffer brain damage, their whole personality changes. So what's on the back of our brains that makes you fine?
Yeah, it's very weird that you are like that specific.
Very specific, exactly.
Right? I only want to eat in 5-star restaurants. And you're like, bro, you live on the you live in a sideboard now.
How did cavemen do this?
Yeah.
There was no there was no fine dining back then.
That's how gold diggers were born.
Oh God.
Yeah. Caveman hit her in the back of the head, and she's like, fine, you can have me, but we're having
not sure you can afford me.
We're having Ruth's Chris from now on.
Oh no.
That's crazy. A couple more because we're out of time, but you lose about half of your taste after age 60, and it's due to less reproduction of taste buds, which explains lubies to me. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, Jesus. So that's why Villagin is so popular with
I was like, what is going on? Why are these old people at Luby's? Well, they can't taste half of it, you know?
Oh.
So,
beautiful.
yeah, it says here that after age 60, half of our taste buds may disappear. While we're being regenerated, only about 10,000 taste buds with age, things start to slowly change, and it's for the worse. So,
yep.
And that is almost the last, like, crazy detail. The one that I found that I thought was really interesting, that I thought, all right, this is what we're going to close it out with.
Okay.
Most people in the 1940s dreamed in black and white.
What?
Yes. Most people in the 1940s dreamed in black and white. What? And this makes sense because everybody watched black and white television.
But they had color in their houses, in their normal lives.
But what does that tell you about what we dream? It tells you that it is all the media that we're taking in. But it makes sense because I heard that dreams is like your body like defragmenting a disc where it's getting rid of all the stuff that you don't need. And if a lot of the stimulation that you're getting is in black and white, you dreamed in black and white.
Because it's getting rid of all those other images. I have dreamt in virtual reality in video games. I have.
See, I don't have virtual reality yet, but it's one of those things where it's like I haven't had any dreams in virtual reality.
I have dreamt that I am playing the video game because it's something I do very often, so I do dream about it, and I see the computer exactly as how I normally play with it, and I've dreamt myself inside of it, so it makes sense.
Makes sense, right?
Black and white is just wild.
Just like, whoa, right? It's like Pleasantville, you know?
Yeah. True.
But for me, I had one dream as a kid that was in black and white, and it was a recurring dream. Okay. And I don't want to get into it because then I'm going to start like telling you about my abandonment issues. But
that's another episode. That's another episode.
This is not a confessional, damn it. You know, but that was like the one dream I can remember, and it wasn't really black and white. It was like sepia. You know what I'm saying? But it was pretty close.
It was Texas, New Mexico. It's fine.
Yeah. So I do know that my dad was an avid fisherman. Okay. And I would go fishing with him, and we would go for 3 or 4 days at a time.
Wow.
Yeah, and he had his boat. He had a pontoon boat, it's got 2 floats, and it's got a platform, and he had this canopy thing that turned into a tent at night. He had a little kitchen in it. It was like you slept on the boat and then you fished all day, right?
Got it.
It was a lot of fun, but after about the 3rd day, I remember we'd be driving home from the lake, and he had a big van that he would take all his stuff in, and I would sleep in the back of the van in one of the seats. And I could still hear
the waves,
the engine on the boat.
From the boat.
I could still hear, and I could hear them like, hey, I could still hear the voices because when you're fishing, they're yelling and hey, pull that in and get your rod in, and we're gonna turn around and hey, we got a snag and all that kind of stuff. And so you could hear, and so that was like a recording that was still playing. I can't imagine that. I'm not a veteran. I didn't go to war, so I can't imagine what those guys go through because I know that just in 3 days of fishing, I had that kind of stuff happen, I can't imagine. Years of warfare. So,
damn.
Shout out to those guys going through it. Hope you guys get through it. But with that being said, that wraps up this episode of the Shit Podcast. Thank you for being here. How can people find you on social media?
They can find me on Instagram as Gimme Coffee if you want to see pretty nails that I do on myself. Awesome. That's basically it.
Yeah, and you have a lot of trashy people on Instagram. Might as well have cool people like Tania, so go ahead and add her. You can find me as, if you're not already on my Instagram, you can find me as Tu Amigo Sam. That's TU Amigo Sam on Instagram, all social media platforms. And you can find our podcast under our channel at Spotify and different podcast platforms as Sta Cagado Podcast. And with that being said, that wraps up this episode of the Shit Podcast. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
And it was good. The human body. Who knew? Wow. So you all have a good day.